Plaintiff Timothy Savat rented a house to the defendant, and not long after she moved in, she told Timothy there were ghosts in the house. Timothy insists his rental property is not haunted, and he's suing the defendant for damages. Defendant Leanne Brown insists the house she rented from Timothy was haunted, and she even has an audio tape of a ghost growling. Leanne claims she also has a picture of a ghost whom she felt touching her in the middle of the night, and she denies damaging the plaintiff's rental property.
Give me some background.
Well, Your Honor, I know you handle a lot of landlord, plaintiff, or tenant disputes. I think it's got a little twist to this one. But it goes back to when we first met. I mean, actually, my son and Leanne's son became friends. I found they needed a place to stay. You know, I worked out something with the move-in. They got moved in. Wasn't long after that, her husband, I mean, I don't know if he's on drugs, what, he's in jail for that now, but he told me he was sitting on the roof at night, sometimes with a gun watching, because he thought people was coming in the backyard, and they was getting in the house, and they was peeping through the windows and stuff like that. It was real paranoid.
Yeah, he was on drugs, like I said. Go ahead.
But he told me, said to him, you know, he said sometimes
he's not in jail for drugs?
No, he's in jail for DUI.
Okay, go ahead.
But anyway, he told me that sometimes
he was drunk.
And things went on. Well, anyway, he got put away. But I mean, then Leanne started coming to me, calling me, saying, you know, hey, somebody's been in my house while I was gone. Stuff's been moved while I was gone. Stuff is missing while I was gone. You know.
Door had not been damaged. No one had an extra key.
Actually, at one time, a door was damaged when I was in a hospital. I went to the hospital because I had walking pneumonia.
Someone kicked it in?
I believe so. He actually called the police, and they said since it was an emergency, they weren't going to go in, but. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, she wouldn't call the police. I told her, well, if you got stuff missing, you need to call the police. And then she started saying that there was ghosts in the house.
The house was haunted. I have audio.
How long did you live there?
3 years, but it got worse. Like the time that we lived there, it got worse. Actually, it got to the point where I'm actually the one that told him I was going to move. And
who lived there before?
A couple of younger guys lived there, Your Honor.
Anything happened to them?
They were the ones I heard were on drugs.
Let me hear what you have about ghosts.
I have my son here, Brandon. He's witness, and he was there.
Heard the ghost.
At this point, he didn't see it in what I have.
Go ahead.
But things were thrown at him.
State your name.
Brandon Newton.
What happened with you?
I was in the shower and things were tossed at me. Razors would a razor was thrown at me when I was in the shower.
Had you done your homework?
No. Well,
the kids
that was her.
We actually had a 5-bedroom house that all the kids would stay in my room.
The house was big and scary.
They had a ghost that they called the boot man because you would hear like walking down the hallway, and I would get home if I would to go work with my friend. I would come home and there would be like something shoved in front of the door where I'd have to knock on my own bedroom to get in because my kids were sleeping all in one space. Like I slept on the floor because they were all in my room. I mean, that's not like some made up
Give me some more examples of what happened.
I was playing a game one time with my brother, and it's funny, but I heard like a growl.
Like we have growling on tape, and my animals would even react. Like I've got an audio I can play.
Let's see what you have.
Okay.
The dog is barking at you. Oh my God! Oh my God! You do that? I don't even see anything. You're sneaking up on us. You're sneaking up on us. I didn't see anything.
Like even the dogs are barking.
Yeah, it's y'all.
No.
The husband not the only one who's getting high, that's for sure.
Well, Your Honor,
no one was on drugs.
Your Honor,
I do hear a little something, but I don't. You all kind of.
It was constant growling. There was always growling, like, and then there's a picture that was taken in the middle of the night. That was taken in my bedroom in the middle of the night. Something touched me, and I took it like there was no. I had no.
Something touched you.
Yes, something touched me while I was sleeping, and I woke up and I took a picture in the middle of the night, and I didn't even have any flash on my camera. And I also
Something
called
touched
it.
you.
Yes.
You looked and you saw something.
No, I didn't see anything.
You just
I
took
just
pictures?
took. Yes, because we.
You were used to the ghost,
Yep.
so you knew it was a ghost.
At that point, and yes. And I actually called the Arkansas Paranormal Society to
There
come
you
out,
go.
and Tim would not allow them to come out.
Did you prohibit her from bringing the paranormal terminators or whatever?
Well, I told her it was kind of ridiculous, Your Honor.
Ghostbusters,
I mean, I told her it was kind of
He
ridiculous.
said if he ever tried to sell the house, he wouldn't be able to if it was haunted.
That's the reason he should have allowed you to bring the Ghostbusters over.
But Your Honor, there's like the boot man they would hear. The house sits behind an old store that I've got for storage. And sometimes in the evening, if I need something, I would go in the store. And when you walk through the store, you can hear that in the house.
Not growling.
You're going to have to try and prove these damages were caused by her family, or the ghost.
About 2 out of 3.
You're
Your
the
Honor.
one that mentioned ghosts. Go ahead.
2 out of 3?
Go ahead, sir. Let's
Yes,
talk
sir.
about
I've got a
what you
list of the damages here that the material's going to take to replace.
Tell me, give me some
Well, I mean,
background.
majority of the light fixtures was cut out of the house taken.
When they moved?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And then there's holes kicked in all the walls. Took hammers to the walls. The cabinets got the doors ripped off of them.
You have a list there?
Yes, Your Honor.
I have pictures also, sir.
And then here's the estimate of the damages, and there's some pictures.
The pictures you're going to show me is from when you moved?
From when I moved in and from when I moved out,
All right.
which there was a cabinet that was already missing
These
doors.
are all when she moved out?
The day after she moved out, Your Honor.
And like I said, the door didn't latch anymore because it had been kicked in. So who knows who could have came in there and done any kind of damage. Because there was a whole bunch of people. Like, kids were breaking in houses all over that area.
I mean, the front door, Your Honor, when they said the dog chewed the hole in the front door.
Is that true, ma'am?
Well, there was a square that it chewed, but there was already a piece that it chewed. Or there was already a piece in the front door that he had nailed up when we moved in. It just chewed that piece already off.
Did you ever see this damage?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, yes, she did, Your Honor. She lived there.
Because she's denying it occurred while she was living there. Let me see your before pictures, ma'am.
Well, some of these are before, after,
No, I
and
need
during.
you to distinguish the two.
This is after. This is before. This is after we were moved. That's like the day of.
But no, Your Honor, that
This
was
is before.
part of the deal when they moved in, Your Honor, was that the house was not in perfect shape, but they had no money to put down for deposit. So her
When you
husband
say
said-
perfect shape, what do you mean by that?
Well,
What
I mean,
was
there was
wrong with it?
I mean, it's an older house. There may have been one or two little holes in the wall where something had hit when
Holes
other people
in
was
the
moving.
walls.
Just a couple of them, but her husband agreed that he would fix all that, get the house
How
cleaned
many
up.
did they cause?
Just guessing, sir, a couple hundred.
Wow. I don't know. I know. I do agree to one big hole in the hallway because the kids
How did
were.
that happen?
That was my fault.
That
Okay.
was the boys.
I was wrestling with my brother.
So-
I was wrestling with my brother, and me and him were playing around, roughhousing, and we both fell into the wall and knocked.
And
the
it
hole
made a
into
huge hole, and I covered. Like, I didn't fix it, but I did cover it. I mean, it's not like I was gonna live with a huge hole in the wall.
I understand, but don't you think you should have paid for it?
I do, and I asked him how much things were going to cost and this and that, and nothing ever came about
You
for
never
that.
gave her a list of the items you were seeking to be paid for?
Well, I mean, I didn't ever give a list of the items. I mean, I walked through the house with her and said, this need to be fixed, this need to be fixed, but
And my husband
I mean,
did
she
agree
went-
to
well, what
fix
she did,
things
Your Honor,
when we
is the
first
cat-
moved
Your
in.
husband agreed.
When we first moved in, but he
No, we're
can't stay out
talking
of jail.
about you
And
suing
I'm
for
not an
damage, or you
electrician or a
suing for
plumber.
what her husband agreed to fix?
no, the damage.
All right. And
Everything.
you walked through and you showed her the damages?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did he show you damages when you walked through?
When I first moved in,
No, when you moved out. Did you
No.
show her damages when she moved
Yes,
out?
Your Honor.
I've not seen him since I
You
moved
showed
out.
her the damages?
Well, the day she was moving out, I walked in there and she told me, get your butt out of here. You're not allowed in this house. I said, Lynn, when you go through, I said, when you look at this house, I said, the hallway's beat up, the bedrooms are beat up. I said, we need to get this straightened out.
So you did not show her the damages when she was moving out?
Not that day, no, sir.
Any day.
Well, before,
Any
yes, sir.
day.
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, like 3 weeks before she moved out, Your Honor, we went through the house. And she
3
took-
weeks before she moved out,
4 weeks,
you
she-
went through the house.
Yes, sir.
And what did you see? All of these damages?
No, the newer ones, I mean, the hammer holes wasn't there then, but the hallway had several holes in it. The holes were so bad, the animals were coming
About
up
how
through the
many
house.
holes? Over 10,
10,
20? Because you
10,
claimed
15.
there were 200.
Well, in the whole house, yes, sir.
All right, and she said she would get it fixed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you recall that?
No.
But you did go through the house together.
No.
You say you did?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Because in fact, she took plywood and put over the holes.
Did you
that
take
I
any
said for her to-
fixtures?
No.
Or doors?
I took a door. Yes, I did because yes, I did. I did take the door. I did give him $81 for a door. Never got one. So when I left, I did take a bathroom door.
Well, Your Honor, the guy that moved her.
Ma'am,
told me
he's
that-
provided me with 20 pictures.
No, I didn't. I didn't go ahead. I didn't run through the house and take a bunch of
You
pictures
did not?
for after. No.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff. I believe you. You have dozens of pictures. She brings me two. $5,000 for the plaintiff. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I didn't tear up his house. So,
We
I
walked
mean,
through the house. The animals were coming up from the outside into the house through the holes in the walls. She put plywood over the holes in the walls and told me that she'd fix it later.
yeah.
Okay, I mean, I guess the ghost just made stuff happen. I don't know.
No one said a ghost did anything like that. I mean, yeah.
But I mean, you know, you just learn. You just got to watch who you rent to.
Plaintiff Patricia Calvin rented a house from the defendant, and it was the biggest mistake she ever made. Patricia claims the defendant often came onto her property without permission, and she has the video to prove it. She's suing for an illegal eviction and emotional distress. Defendant Carrie Nelson says she started having problems with Patricia after Patricia started neglecting her property. Carrie's countersuing because she claims Patricia threatened her with bodily harm.
All right, start with you.
I met Carrie back in September 2017. I rented a home from her in November. It was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life. Every time she came over to my house, she had some neighborhood crackheads with her. I really believe she zoned it herself because everybody she associated with or brought to my house were neighborhood crackheads.
Brought to your house for what?
Checking the yard. She would go through my yard looking for cigarette butts. She'll find a cigarette butt and come in and
No,
say,
I'm talking about the drug addicts. Though.
she would bring them with her to do
what?
She said to look through the yard or yard work or stuff like that. But I had a yard guy to do my yard work every 2 weeks. So I had a yard person already.
So she never found anything when she was looking?
Cigarette butts.
Okay.
But I don't smoke. I never smoked in my life. So one time she had the guy over with her, one of the neighborhood crackheads. She pulled a knife on him. My kids came running in the bedroom, said the landlord has a knife, to the guy's chest.
Outside?
Mm-hmm. He was in the backyard. By the time I got out there, he was stumbling around. They got in the truck and left. I also have a witness statement from my daughter for that.
Thanks. Did you ever discuss this with her?
Yeah, I did mention that when
What
I
did she
gave her
say?
my 30-day notice.
What did she
Well,
say?
when she came over to the house, she basically told me I had no rights.
Okay,
It was
she
her.
didn't say anything specifically regarding the knife?
No.
All right. Let me hear from you.
Miss Calvin, she did come to rent for me in November. I got her reference from a good friend of mine, a good friend of mine. So I didn't check her background. Mm-hmm. But it turns out that I was okay with Miss Calvin. She moved in November. I had no problems with her, whatever was going on, until about June, July, when I saw the yard and the house getting a disarray. Broken window dressing, tall grass, cigarette butts in the yard. Went to the back, maggots over the garbage. The stench so bad you couldn't, I have a neighbor with cancer, so bad you couldn't get back there. Broken furniture. But we didn't have problems until then. I sent her notice that the yard was disarray.
What was the response to that letter?
At the end of the day, she told me that she didn't see the problems, that grass was okay, that I was just a nitpicker.
So what type of conversations did you all have during that time regarding the cleanliness of the yard and the window seals you say were broken?
The dressing,
or what happened?
blinds all broken
and
apart.
And you mentioned that to her? What did she say
No,
about that?
I didn't mention that to her.
Okay.
That I didn't come to later. That
All right.
once
Did
I
that
got in the
happen?
house.
Were they damaged, her property?
No.
Okay.
She didn't do any upgrades, painting, cleaning whatsoever before I moved in the property.
Okay.
So everything was the same when I moved out.
Got it. And what do you want to tell me about the knife situation?
I'd never heard of it before. I'm hearing it like you.
What's the illegal eviction and emotional distress?
Well, back in July, the same friend she says referred her, saw her coming out of my home and called me and said she was coming out of my house. She started doing this on a regular basis. Almost every day she would pop up. She would come through the yard. The kids would run in and say, oh, you know, she's in the backyard. I would see her leaving out the yard. And on the 17th, I served her a notice that I was moving out.
17th
of July.
Mm-hmm.
I served her a notice that I was moving out in 30 days. And I told her because me and my kids were not comfortable there. We did not feel our privacy was respected. Mm-hmm. You know, she felt like she can come in and go whenever she felt like it. And I told her I didn't think that was right. And I gave her notice, and here it is that I served her, that I was moving out. And I gave that to her on the 17th of July. On the 20th of July, she came over and she served me with this handwritten eviction notice giving me 30 days to move out and said I had to be out by August 1st.
Let's see it, please. Okay.
I then explained to her that that's not 30 days, it's August 1st. And I said, I had already given you a notice that I'm moving out August 31st. You know, what's the need for the eviction? So she was like, oh, well, you pay your rent on time. You know, there's not a problem with the rent. The house is in order. I just can't have people talking back to me and telling me when I can come and go as I please. I have video, and these are the transcripts of all the videos.
Okay.
I videotaped her every time she came to my home.
All right.
Because the house is good, and you pay rent on time. Right. I just can't have dissension.
I know what the rights are. I called, I checked.
And they said?
Yes, I was supposed to get a 24-hour notice.
Before I come, before I come in the house or outside of the house?
Both.
You scared me in the backyard. I didn't know who that was.
Scared so easily, but
Scared so easily? Why do you creep around like that?
I can do that.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
Well, 2 days, get out.
You can't creep around like
2 days,
that.
get out.
You can't creep around like
2
that.
days, get
You
out.
can't creep around like that.
I can do anything.
But what if I thought somebody was trying to break in? You scared the out of me.
Okay. You trying to pick a wipe your
You know what? You need to. You know what? I paid you, so you need to get out of my yard.
Find someplace else to
I have. But you creep around here.
Get me problem then. Get the
You creeping around here. No, you can't. No, you can't.
watch and see.
Okay, well, no, you can't.
You look like you walking like you creeping.
I will.
Man, you can't do that. She's right. I'm just humoring you and saying that perhaps you had good intentions picking up the cigarette butts, but you can't come onto her property anytime you want. You can't even go in the backyard anytime you want. You have to give them, typically it's 24-hour notice. I don't know what agreement you all had. Sometimes it's 12-hour notice. All right.
Well, she wasn't moving, so that was the day I was checking because I didn't see her moving, so.
All right. What happened after that, ma'am?
Like I said, we agreed that my move-out day was August 31st.
Mm-hmm.
August 30th, I found out she went and filed eviction on me. And how I found out that the house that I was supposed to move in, I contacted the lady because, I hadn't heard from her. She said, well, you have been denied because you have an eviction on your record from where you live. And I was like, no, I don't. And I went online and checked. True enough, she filed an eviction on me. She came by the 30th, the day she filed. Like I said, I didn't know she had filed that day. And she kept coming, you have to be out of here. If you're not out of here by tomorrow at midnight, you're going to pay me a whole nother month's rent. I said, I will be out. I said, could you please leave me alone and quit coming over here harassing me? I'll be out of your house. She made a U-turn. She came back. She got out the car again, cursing at me.
Creeping.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It doesn't matter. I was not creeping.
She was cursing at me and everything. So I'm rushing to get my stuff out. Like I said, at this point, I was denied for the house. I had nowhere to go.
Okay.
I got the truck. I put my stuff in storage. I went.
How long did it take you to get another place?
I moved October 1st.
When were you to move in the new one? The one you were turned down for?
That one I was supposed to move in the 31st.
So you missed an entire month of residency because of the eviction placed on your record.
Yes,
that's
because
what you're
I lost
saying.
the place.
Okay, and so what happened when you all went to court?
Okay, well, this shows that the day she filed it on the 30th. This here shows that. We went to court.
Let's see it, please.
We went to court July 13th. I'm sorry, September 13th.
Yep.
And at that point, I told the judge I would like for it to be taken off my dismissed and taken off my record because as of this point, me and my kids are homeless. And this is what he had me to fill this out, and he took the eviction off my record.
So the damage you suffered was that 1 month that you were unable to obtain a residency based on her erroneous filings or her abusive process, if anything. If what I'm hearing is true, ma'am, what you did is you engaged in...
That's not true, though.
Okay,
Thing of it
well,
is not true.
I have some evidence here, so you'll have to give me yours, but let me finish, please. Abusive process. In other words, you all had an agreement and you jumped that agreement by going to the court instead, which caused a blemish on her record. So if what she says is true, you misrepresented what you intended to do. So go ahead, you tell.
Okay. First of all, I have a letter on the date that I gave Ms. Calvin her eviction notice, which
Let's
was...
see it, please.
Okay. This says the 17th, but it was on the 20th.
Now I gotta go with what that says.
But I wrote the date wrong.
Now you're trying to abuse this process.
Judge Mathis.
What, ma'am?
I didn't come back to her house until August 30th when she threatened to kick my butt, okay? To see if, because I saw nothing moving from the house. So on the 31st is when she decided, she says, give me one more day. I give her the extra day, but she don't come back so we can do the walkthrough until 9:30 at night. Okay, so I didn't illegally evict her.
I didn't say anything about you illegally evicting her. I said you filed eviction papers,
no, I
even
didn't file
though you
eviction,
had
Judge
agreed
Mathis.
to a certain time.
Judge Mathis, I didn't file eviction until August 31st, August 30th, okay?
Well, let me look.
Look at the thing.
I got the record.
Look at it. Look at it. I didn't go to court. September 13th is when we went into court. Her eviction was on the 30th. Right. I didn't do that until the 30th.
And you all had agreed July 17th.
No.
I'm looking at it.
The date of her,
at the top, the date.
Her eviction is for the 20th.
No, ma'am, I'm going to go with what you wrote here.
Wow.
Now, you tell me something. What do you mean, wow? You have an agreement I'm looking at. Like I'm doing something wrong to you. What's some wow? You handed me this?
Can I give you this?
What is it?
It's another eviction.
What
it's
is
a second eviction.
Pardon me?
It's eviction notice here for if you want to look at it.
I ain't ready to have it. He worked for me. So we're gonna finish this first.
Her eviction.
All right,
Judge
we're gonna
Mathis.
finish this, ma'am.
All right. Her eviction. Her
on
eviction
July.
was from.
Okay, you're not gonna let me talk.
All right.
All right. I'm about to end this case, ma'am. You're being disrespectful. You won't let me talk. You're talking over me. Take this, Judge. I'm trying to tell you the law and you talking over me. Take this, take this. I'm not ready for it. Take it. All right, the eviction wasn't illegal. However, it did hurt your credit, right? All right, but it was removed from your credit.
Yes, it was.
All right, so, but for that 1 month, it was on your credit and you suffered damage by not being able to get another place while it was on your credit. And that was the emotional distress as well as the misrepresentation as to when you can leave. How does she owe you, ma'am? $2,000.
I'm suing for emotional distress because of all the things that Ms. Calvin has done. She threatened to kick my butt in front of her children. I'll kick your if you don't do this or do that. She threatened me.
If you don't get off my property.
Well, no, I was my property. I was like just seeing if she was leaving at the time. And apparently she wasn't. That's when she said she was going to bodily harm me. So I ended up calling the police and telling them that if she was leaving.
What'd they tell you?
Well, they were going to do a walkthrough. She wouldn't let me. She ended up coming to my house.
No, the police about the threat. We're talking about the threat. You say you called the police about the threat.
They said, well, when you get ready to move out, call us. It was 5 minutes.
Good enough. They ignored your threat.
No, they said to call. They would come there and do the walkthrough with me.
All right.
Right. They would call.
That had nothing to do with the threat that was made.
They said, call us. When you get ready to walk through the house, we will come there and walk with you. I'm suing for distress because she keeps harassing me.
How?
She writes me letters.
Saying what?
I don't know because I didn't open it.
Okay, well, it's not harassment if you haven't read them. It could say, how was your day? I love you. I had a change of heart. In fact, I don't even want any money. And now she got mad because you didn't respond. So she said, well, I'm going to go get my money. Nice as I was to her in that letter, I told her I loved her. I told her I forgive her. I told her we should go to church together. And she just going to blow me off. I'm mad. I'm going to sue her now. See, you should open that letter. It could have been something nice in there. Now she mad and want her money. should open that letter. Let me let you go, ma'am. But
No,
she's
because
going to win, ma'am, period. She's going to win. You superseded the process, abused the process, misrepresented what you had told her you all were going to do. You superseded and filed an eviction notice. The result was it went on her record, ruined her credit for that time until they removed it. For that, I'm granting her $3,000. Nothing you've said has convinced me that she has caused you any emotional distress. Have a good day.
I would like to say nobody should rent from this lady. She's a nut, she's a crackhead, and she will come in and out of your house when she feels like it, and you will not have no privacy and no respect at all.
Everything she said was a lie. Everything she said was a lie. I don't go to my tenant's home. She had cigarette butts all in the yard. I'm spending $500 now just to do the paint job from the smoke in the house. I never harassed her, never came by. Only in July when the property was curtains all and cigarettes and stuff in the yard. And I'm asking her, Patricia, clean it up. Well, I don't think it's bad. You're this, you're that.
Plaintiffs Lynn Wynn and her partner Sarah Ansbury say the defendant and his partner rented a room in their home, and they were the four most terrifying months of their lives. Sarah claims they kicked the defendant out after his partner attempted to attack Lynn, and they're suing him for rent, a bed, and a parking ticket. Defendant Jonathan Case says the plaintiff's behavior while living together was extremely bizarre, and Lynn would often sharpen knives in the living room while staring at him. Jonathan claims after he and his partner left, they filed a restraining order against the plaintiffs, and he's countersuing them for the cost of a dog.
Start with you all.
Well, Your Honor, my partner and I were looking for a roommate in our condo. So we met the defendant, John, and his partner.
How did you meet him?
Through Craigslist. Shannon's not here, and the information that we got basically all was that Shannon was a shy guy, and he would stay in his room and hang out, and pretty much that's it. And that's what we expected. We're like, great, that's perfect.
That's crazy.
What is?
Well, we were offered the entire use of the house, not just stay in the room.
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense if you paid rent. All right.
Really?
Go ahead.
So when, sorry, that just threw me off.
He started coming out of the room?
Well, that wasn't the big, no. And that wasn't a big deal. He got comfortable, that was fine. That's not where the problems began. We found out, I mean, as soon as we moved in, it was literally the most terrifying 4 months of our lives. And it started with Shannon. One day I came downstairs at night, and he was standing in the kitchen, talking to himself in the dark. I asked if he was okay. He said no, and he started going off.
Going off how?
He started yelling a lot of random stuff. He started calling Lynn names. He said...
Oh, she was up too with you?
No, she was upstairs at the time. Lynn came down first, and he got in her face and started pointing at her and threatening her and calling her a witch. How did it end? We went upstairs, he left.
Okay.
He went to the
Did you ever find out what that was about?
We were told by John that he was going to commit suicide.
All right, he had a mental illness?
He, apparently.
Did he come back?
John begged us to let him stay. He begged me a lot. He said, you're our family, please let us stay.
What happened after that?
Didn't go well. Shannon was abrasive. He never apologized. He never followed through with going to therapy and medication, the stuff that he was supposed to be doing. And if he was alone with Lynn, he would say mean things to her.
You all tell them they'd have to leave, or what happened?
We did, but this was after John attacked us as well.
Okay. Let's start with the amount of rent.
The amount of rent is $750.
All right, and what month and year are you suing for again?
June 13.
June of 13. And tell me about the attack. How did that occur?
That is on me. I have been emotionally distressed after Shannon did what he did to me, and it affected my school, it affected my work, and he would leave the dog with me.
You mean when him cursing you out affected your school and your work?
Yeah.
You never been cursed out before? Or?
No, it's not that. It was scary because when a guy of his age talking to himself in the corner of our kitchen in the dark, and then coming out in the light, lunging at me and pointing his finger at me, I didn't know what to do, what to expect.
Certainly shouldn't have let him move back in.
Yes, but we are
So it
big on
couldn't have
second
affected
chances.
you that much. That's my point.
Yes, Your Honor. After that, I told him about the dog, and we have text messages saying
What about the dog?
the dog has deviant behaviors of barking, consistent pissing on the floor when he gets excited.
Tell me about the fight.
The fight came to that I talked about you need to take care of it, and he got mad. And he said that we pay $750. We should be accommodated.
Then how did it end?
It ended when we all sat down, and Sarah said, we do not feel safe. And then this is when I interrupted and I said, you have until the end of the month to move out.
Sir?
Well, Your Honor, first, I want to applaud them for the Academy Award performance. That was nothing. That was nothing compared to the performance they gave when we had a restraining order put against them.
Oh.
This is nothing. First off, when we got the apartment, we talked to them. Before we even moved in, I mentioned that Shannon has a bad case of PTSD.
No, you do not.
Which he was having post-traumatic stress syndrome disorder from being attacked a few years ago, and we're dealing with that. They did not tell about Lynn's anger problem until later when Sarah confided in me that Lynn has an anger problem and that she refuses to get any help.
Sarah, did you tell him that? Sarah, did you tell him that?
No.
And
you want to hear this? What else? What other problems did she tell you?
Oh, Lord. Lynn would do things like sharpen knives in the living room. She would sit there, sharpen these knives, staring at us with this look at her face, something like the one she has now, staring at us, just sharpening these knives. And, you know, it just got insane.
She talking about, she was scared of you all.
Tell me. But anyway, back to the point, sir.
You all weren't getting along because of a variety of things.
Because Shannon has a problem. We've been together 32 years. I've never seen him stay in a corner and talk to himself. Sarah threatened to beat him up, says if he has another outburst like that, I'm going to beat him up. And if you guys don't move, we're going to beat you up.
Oh my God.
Okay?
Because
so we got a restraining order.
frame can beat you up.
Let me see the restraining order.
We got a copy.
Was this before or after the discussion about moving?
This was after the discussion about moving.
Let's get to the discussion about moving.
About the 10th of June, they said, well, we have to move. You want to move. You know, we want you out of here. We don't want you here anymore.
What was your response?
I said, fine. I'll just find me a place to live. I got to take a couple of weeks to find a place to live, which I did, and we moved out.
When?
On June 27th.
Okay.
We were living there illegally, according to them, to get us to move. I have here from the HOAs, from the homeowners.
What does that have to do with your agreement to pay them? You had a contract with them.
Oh, to pay them? The reason I didn't pay them? Because according to the Oregon State Bar, which I have right here, the only way a landlord can evict you is by using court procedures for eviction. You have to give a written notice. Nothing was ever given on that.
You know why?
Do I know why?
Yeah, that nothing was given, no order of eviction.
Because we never had a lease, apparently.
No, because you never were evicted.
We never were evicted.
Right. That's why you didn't have an order. So that doesn't apply. You told them you'd move voluntarily. That's not eviction. That's an agreement, for you to move. All right. Now let me hear from you all regarding the bed and the parking ticket you're suing about.
The bed, when we rented out the room, had a queen size bed. They asked if they can have their king size bed in that bedroom if they properly stored it and with the rest of their stuff and brought it back when they moved out. Didn't get the bed back.
Okay, and when you discussed it with them, what did he say?
We could not discuss it because they had the restraining order against us.
Gotcha.
I also have an audio from court which says why he chose not to pay rent.
Okay,
and
let's hear it.
Okay.
As far as this last month goes, I did not pay him. And the reason I did not pay him is because we're only there for, I think approximately 21 days, not a full 30 days. And at $750 a month, that's $25 a day, which comes up to about $525. Shannon's dog, which he did love, cost us over $600 that we had to get rid of. So I feel like...
Okay, that's your counterclaim for $1,100 for the cost of a dog. How do they owe you for a dog?
They forced us to get rid of the dog. They said, if you want to stay here, this is before we moved, they said, if you want to stay here, you have to get rid of your dog because it's one of Lynn's triggers that sets her off.
How long before you moved?
The very next week after we got rid of the dog is when they told us we had to move.
No.
Okay.
And
if you hadn't have gotten rid of the dog, what do you think would have happened?
I really feel that Lynn probably would have hurt the dog in some way.
Okay. All right. So you moved based on speculation.
She physically abused him. When we first moved in, she picked the dog up because he barked a little bit.
How long did you live there?
3.5 months.
So you lived there for 3.5 months after she abused your dog. Oh, that's not a nice pet owner.
I didn't find out about that until later.
How did you find out? That's really negligence. Your dog gets abused and you never even find out?
No.
The dog had to be limping or crying or something?
She had 5 other dogs there.
Come on, sir. You moved on your own. Let's get to the unpaid parking ticket, ma'am. How does he owe for that?
Excuse me, Your Honor.
What do you want to tell me about the bed while she gets ready with the parking
When we first went to look at the place before we moved in, there was a mattress and box springs on the floor. It was a nasty, I wouldn't give it to a homeless
person. And
then, so she said, so Lynn says, well, if you don't want it, because we had our own bed, let's get rid of it. Sarah agreed, and it's in this statement from Shannon, which I have a written statement, he couldn't get here. She agreed, says, okay, get rid of it. So we took it down to the dumpster.
All right. Parking ticket?
We did not know about the parking ticket or that they took our car. We found out later from the Oregon Department of Revenue that we have an outstanding balance of $518.
And are you going to agree?
I agree that they let me use the car that day. It wasn't a parking ticket, Your Honor. It was expired license plates that they had on their car.
Do you have the bill?
Well, yeah, so they sent us over this whole thing.
Yeah, I don't see where
how much is
expired license plates are my fault.
But you were driving it, so you were driving it. You had an obligation to know whether you were driving a vehicle that was legal, just to find out before you do that. It could be stolen.
Could be.
So you need to find out what it is you're driving. They say it could be.
I wonder who stole it.
Well, he calling y'all everything: thieves, dog abusers, all kind of stuff. He throwing the book at y'all today. The cost of this bed is the only thing I'm not convinced of, one way or the other. Just not. Sir, you definitely owe for the month of June. With regard to the parking ticket, I believe that as well. $750 plus, what's the parking ticket? Parking ticket, I'm sorry, not a parking ticket. Registration ticket says $140.
$890 so far.
$890 is your judgment. Your claim is dismissed, sir.
They need help. I mean, serious help. At least I'm with somebody that loves me, not somebody that just uses me and abuses me. And I like that smirk. You know, they're totally insane. And I feel sorry for anybody else that ever has to move in with them. They move people in and they have to kick them out because the homeowner says they have to move them out. It's crazy.
They needed the help. He refused to get him the help and put it all on us, on society, when they wouldn't get help. I'm just happy, and that he came here to, expose himself of what kind of person he is. And now I'm just
At least I'm not a liar.
Excuse me.
There is no excuse for you.
Excuse me.
You're a 66-year-old man. She's
And
24 years old.
11.
Look at how
Why
you're treating her.
Why?
For what?
So
elderly abuse?
You got real bad problems.
You're 65 going on 5.
Plaintiff Lisa Oliver rented a condo to the defendant, and she claims he's a manipulator and a con artist who not only exaggerated his wealth, but he also lied about his father dying of cancer. Lisa's suing her former tenant for unpaid rent. Defendant Todd Wesolowski says that Lisa is correct, and he did tell a lot of lies to make himself seem bigger than he was. Todd refuses to pay Lisa for anything because he claims she defamed him on the internet.
Start with you.
So I believe the defendant here is a manipulator, a liar, and a con artist.
How long have you known him?
Well, he rented my condo for approximately 8 months. And
When did he move in?
August 2017.
Okay.
And shortly after, I discovered a lot of lies. One of them being that he told people that he owned my condo. The second one...
Women?
Yes.
You blame? I mean, what do you... No man has ever told you that? You just don't know.
Yeah, I just don't know.
That's why I don't have any money to take you out, because I spent cash on this. Go ahead.
The second lie was him telling me that his father was sick and dying, which I found out later was not the truth. And he also said that to his ex-wife to gain, I don't know, financial stability with her. I'm not really sure. The third lie and event was when he forged a document that he sold my condo, which I have here.
Now that's going a little too far.
Yeah.
Let's see it. In fact, that's going way far. That's going to jail far. And let me ask you about the person dying. How do you know that wasn't true?
Well, in April of 2018, his ex-girlfriend contacted me because she found my information on the judicial website, and she was trying to warn me about his tactics and his lying. And I asked her if she knew anything about the father being ill, and she had been with him for approximately 8-9 months, and she said she had no idea. So I started to do some research, and I found on the website his divorce, which his ex-wife claimed that he also stated that, let's see, there was a supposedly non-existent advance on the defendant's inheritance from his father, whom the defendant falsely claimed to be afflicted with cancer. So it's kind of the same story.
All right. Well, let me give you ladies a little lesson. When you meet a man, for that first month, for sure, typically, in an effort to impress you, to make you his girlfriend, whatever the case, they lie about what they got. Whatever the fancy car is, probably his brother, his cousin, his dope dealing friend, whatever the case. That Corvette or that Mercedes or that Ferrari even, that's not his. Check it out if you really want to know. Secondly, same like you just, they told you, I live in a condo, it's all mine. Now don't y'all get mad at me, fellas, like y'all got mad at Steve Harvey when he wrote his book about y'all. They're giving away all the secrets of deception. All right, let me hear from you, your side.
Thank you, Your Honor.
What kind of car you got?
Toyota Camry.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Short version, she's right about a lot. She is. As humbling and as hard as it is to admit, she's right. And I had many conversations with Lisa after what I call it the D-Day, or the point in life when you are living something whom you're not or what you're not. The truth always comes out.
What was your motive for deceiving her?
At the time, I was trying to be more than who I was for the girl I was dating. And that's where you're right. That's where you're right. It's, trying to impress somebody saying I own the condo versus, and Lisa's initial concern was I was trying to sell the condo. That was never the point. I was never trying to turn a profit. I was trying to look better for the person I was with at the time. Thinking I needed to be more than who I was.
So you went as far as to get something saying, I'm selling this, baby. Look how much I'm selling it. So I'm going to have whatever, hundreds of thousands of dollars from the sale of a condo. I got a major inheritance coming. All right. I'm glad you're admitting that you were deceptive in order to impress your girlfriend.
I'm not proud of that fact. However, as going forward, when Miss Oliver and I met in August, it turns out that the world is smaller than we often think. We went to high school together. We share a similar circle of friends. When we reached the point where I talk about the D-Day and everything came out, and as Lisa knows, I talked to her, there was an event after we went to the mediation. We agreed upon the exit date for me.
Mediation for eviction?
Yes.
Correct.
Go ahead.
Correct. I left, I believe it was early May.
May 10th.
Okay, May 10th. And after that, I received multiple phone calls from mutual friends asking me why I'm basically being beat up on social media so badly.
Let me allow her to give me the specifics of the eviction and why and when. You tell me.
I evicted him because he...
No, you filed for eviction when?
I believe it was March.
And he was how far behind?
He was behind 4 months.
How much per month?
Well, the problem is he paid partial rent for January, which he paid $810, so there was $490 left.
Do you have a list there?
Yes.
All right.
I have this list.
And so when you went to court, do you have that court document?
Yes, this is
Did
the
they,
stipulation agreement and all the other documents for
Okay,
court.
stipulated agreement means you all agreed
Yes.
that it would take the action that you were petitioning for.
Yes.
So there's no money judgment.
No.
So you just wanted him removed.
Right, and I wanted my money, but he was in no position to give me any money. So instead of us going in front of the judge, the mediator kind of just had us agree to the move-out date of May 10th.
You should have went and gotten a money judgment. Don't bypass a lawsuit because you think the person doesn't have any money, or that they don't have any money at that time, or they haven't worked, or whatever the case, because they could have some money in the future.
Right, there's a small claims in there. I believe it's attached to that.
For the money.
Right.
All right. And did you get a judgment on that?
No, we hadn't had a court date yet.
All right. So that's what you've done. You've removed that claim to bring it to us as mediators?
Correct. For the past due rent.
There you go. And sir, did you pay all the rent? She shows me that you owe a total of $5,040. You did, and that security applied to unpaid rent, left a debt of $2,440. What do you say?
I paid, she's absolutely accurate. I paid $810, I believe, through January. I owed for the remainder of January, February.
$490.
Yep.
That's what she lists.
Correct. February was $1,300. March was $1,300. And when she filed towards the end of April, that's another $1,300. I was left in May of 2017, May 10th. So whatever that arrearage totals, I am not in disagreement of.
Did you leave May 10th?
Well, he left all the furniture there, but he physically wasn't there, and he met me and my
When did he
realtor.
remove his items?
I had them removed. He didn't physically remove
Okay.
them. I had them removed, I believe, the 14th,
of May?
a few days later.
So you...
That's why I reduced the amount of the rent from $1,300 to $650.
Got it. All right, so what's your defense, sir?
Sir, she's right about the rearage, and
Got
she's
it.
right about the furniture. I wasn't allowed to drag big items out to the dumpster. They were throwaway items. So I tried to coordinate, and she knows, a donation and a pickup, and that did not work out. With
Actually, that's a lie.
It's
Whatever the case, that wasn't your
yeah,
responsibility. That
Right.
was his.
Yeah, and I acknowledge that. The 14th is fair. Shortly after we had the stipulated agreement to leave, and I left, as you know, I started to tell the multiple phone calls from mutual friends about a current posting on Facebook with my photo, about who I was, a deadbeat, everything in the world you could possibly imagine. Lisa's aware of 3 teenage daughters, and I work in a public school system. I coach public sports, and I own the mistakes I made.
There you go with that own.
I know,
your
it's hard.
mistakes.
It's not
a problem. I thought you were about to give me some more game about what you own.
One of the things I try and preach to my kids and to the students often is when you have a problem as an adult, we have tools. You come to somebody and you deal with it, whether it's in a legal forum or personal forum, and that reverberates, social media reverberates outwards in tenfold. It makes it even more challenging. Try and explain to your kids and to your peers how you got to this point. There isn't a price tag you can put on that kind of damage, because all people hear is one half of the story. Then nobody asks and says, Todd, what kind of space are you in? What put you there? Why? It's all just an opinion, and it blows.
Was this before or after the judgment?
Was after.
After the judgment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You do know it's public.
Yes, sir. I do.
What has she done that people can't read on their own?
It's not
they
bad.
can read this.
The best
court.
example I can give is when you give a group of kids in a circle of 15 and you tell the first one a fact and you have them pass it around. By the time it comes back around, it's no longer the same fact. So what it spun into is something that was not accurate. Just the overall judgment that my mission in life is to just defraud people. That's not. I made my mistakes. If we lived our lives, all of us, with our mistakes being thrown up on Facebook or any kind of social media and judged by those, every one of us would be jumping off bridges.
I'm telling you, it's already thrown up.
I understand.
It's on another part of the internet. You worried about it being on the gossip part. It's on the court part.
Yes, sir.
It's not a secret. So that's what you need to be teaching those kids. If you make a mistake, it's likely to be published, and that it is legal under certain circumstances to publish your private information. There's no expectation of privacy. Folks need to know that. So therefore, you didn't mention that as a counterclaim, and it certainly is in a defense. So I'll grant you a judgment for $2,440. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just pay your rent and do what is due to the landlord.
I've expressed I'm sorry before, and Judge Mathis is right. When you make something erroneous in the public, it stays in the public. It's something for everyone to remember.
Plaintiff Everett Meadows is a landlord who leased a property to the defendant's estranged wife. Everett claims while there, his tenant reconciled with the defendant, and the defendant moved in, only to begin arguing with his wife and damage Everett's property. Defendant Daniel Hill says after he moved in with his estranged wife, they decided to get a divorce. Daniel claims his wife changed the locks on him, so he had to force his way in by breaking the door. And he feels his wife is responsible for the damages.
Start with you.
Okay, my name is Everett Meadows. I'm a landlord by trade. I'm a pharmaceutical rep. I started purchasing property about 12 or 13 years ago, and
just doing what the other dope boys do. Yeah, y'all like to sell dope and go into real estate. Go ahead.
So my action against Mr. Hill is all because I leased another property 2 years ago to his wife, and at the time they weren't living together. I believe they were separated. I believe he was living in another state.
Stay out the man business. Go ahead.
So that was 2 years ago. She was a model. Her name is Morgan Hill. She was a model tenant until apparently they decided to reconcile, and he moved from, I believe, Florida, and decided to move back in with his wife. At that particular time, because this is a duplex, I started getting calls from the neighbor who also lives in the building, saying that there was a lot of just commotion and fighting and arguing. And on one of those occasions where I did have to get involved, Mr. Hill forcibly entered the apartment. My tenant told me that she wasn't home at the time.
Your tenant meaning his wife?
Meaning his wife, right.
Ex-wife.
Yeah, and so there were three doors. There's a screen door.
That'd be X too. You had me put out. Go ahead.
There's a screen door, there's an outer door, and then there's the door to her apartment. So basically, there's 3 doors to get into her apartment. My action against him stems from the fact that all 3 were damaged. Now, she told me, and I do have a witness statement from her here, that the reason why she wasn't at the apartment was they were going through a divorce, and that he had reported that he was being followed mysteriously by some people that he didn't know. He was uncomfortable with that, so he felt he needed to get a license to carry a fire weapon. And in addition to that, she said that he was sleeping with knives and walking around the apartment with knives. She runs a daycare in part of the apartment, so it's a 2-level apartment. 1 floor is a daycare. She told me that the erratic behavior and that the fact that they were having so many issues scared her, and she didn't really want to be in the apartment anymore.
Did she tell you what she speculated?
She just thought that he thought somebody was following him. And she had no firsthand knowledge
felt he was
that
paranoid.
he was really being followed, right? So, but she
Did
did have
allege he
firsthand
was on any
knowledge.
type of drugs?
No, she didn't. She didn't allege that.
That's extreme paranoia. Typically, is because of drug addiction of some sort. Sir.
So we were separated for a little while. She called me back in May, and she was trying to get this daycare that he's mentioning off the ground, and she didn't have the funds to make it happen. So I decided I was going to move back in to help her out financially. I was the one paying the rent, the gas, electric, phone bills, food, everything.
Good.
The daycare slowly started to get off the ground, so the need for me to be there was less and less, and then our relationship started to reflect that. So in the process, we decided to go ahead and get a divorce, and we decided that we were gonna split up around October. The relationship between us started to get a bit more spicy, and she decides to show her frustration with vindictive behavior. We went to our first court hearing, and at the court hearing...
Court hearing for what?
For divorce.
Okay.
She said, is there any way I can get him out of the apartment right now? And the judge told her, no, he's been there since May. He's the one paying all of the bills. You have to legally evict him at this point. She says to the judge, well, I'm just going to change the locks. And the judge says, ma'am, you cannot just change the locks. That would constitute an illegal eviction. Right after the court date or the court hearing, I went out to try to give her some space to keep things calm. When I got back to the house that night, lo and behold, the locks had been changed. So I forced my way into the house. And I was told that if someone goes to illegally evict you in the state of Ohio, I don't know if it's true or not, then the person who is doing the illegal eviction is now responsible for the damages, considering that I am a legal tenant to the property and I was the one paying the rent.
Okay, you have something that says that? That's not my understanding. My understanding is that you're not supposed to kick in anything at all. You're not supposed to get in, you're not supposed to engage in violence. So perhaps it's the same judge that ruled incorrectly and improperly when this woman felt it was an emergency situation. Yes, you do order someone out. She felt threatened by you.
Well, I don't
Why did she tell the judge she wanted you out then? And what was all this going back and forth?
Because
clearly she felt threatened. If she said you had knives and guns, was that true?
So no. So I represent.
So you never did?
No. I represent an organization, and we believe that all young men should have a license to carry.
They know you kick in doors? Young men believe when they fall out with their wife, you kick in the door? I hope not. Don't teach them that part.
No, I'm not teaching them that part.
Go ahead.
And I still had all my items in the house as well.
And that's why we shouldn't have everybody carrying guns, because they get violent, like you just did. Go ahead. You teach young people to carry guns, and what else?
Well, I'm just saying that and then now, ever since I got my license to carry, it's been showing up in every police report that is being made.
Thank God for that.
It's showing up in the court now. It's about the gun, but I got my license to carry after I moved out, Your Honor. Okay. Just to kind of give you a perspective of what really is going on here. It's just a way for her to be vindictive. You know, she's angry about
getting
separation.
her door kicked in. You don't think she should be?
Well, why is she changing the locks? I don't understand that.
Because you were sitting up with knives and guns, if what he says is true. So she wanted you out. So she wouldn't have to worry about a crazy man. You did kick it in? And you believe that there's a law that says kick it on in, and it's no problem. What does that law say about you getting shot when you kick in a door? Now that law might allow her to shoot you. Go ahead,
told that it's considered forced entry, and that if it is my legal property, I cannot be illegally evicted, and I am allowed to make my way into my property.
You think it's yours?
I was paying for it, and I was there.
You're confused. Now, do you think you should pay or not?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Because I'm not his tenant. His tenant was the one.
You just say you paid for everything. You see why I say you're confused? Your counterclaim for $1,000 for emotional distress. How does he owe you?
For all of this, I feel like
all of what? All of what?
I feel he should have went after his lease tenant.
Okay, you're wrong. You're wrong, and you're confused once again. So if that's your only counterclaim, your claim is dismissed, and yours is granted. He's terribly confused about whether it's his place, whether he's a tenant. Very confused. Judgment for the plaintiff. Have a good day.
The judge's ruling was appropriate. I always think that there was some responsibility that anybody has to accept for destroying somebody else's personal property.
I don't have anything to say.